Many of us want the rewards of spiritual maturity without the friction of actually having to change. We often treat our faith like sous vide cooking, a culinary technique where food is placed in a precise, temperature-controlled water bath. It's an environment designed for perfectly safe, highly predictable growth. The process requires sealing the meat tightly in a plastic bag, keeping it protected from the boiling water outside. This method offers ultimate comfort. But as the labels point out, that comfort guarantees total isolation. The steak can never blend with any other ingredients. The Gospel of Mark introduces us to someone living this exact way, the rich young ruler. He comes to Jesus boasting a meticulously preserved moral life. He treats his relationship with God as transactional. He presents a flawless resume to Jesus, listing off all the commandments he's kept since childhood, treating spiritual maturity as a series of individual accomplishments. This approach to faith is like collecting a tall stack of paper certificates, while the wooden box meant to hold your actual character remains entirely empty on the inside. There is a severe psychological toll to this kind of self-preservation. A person can be morally safe on paper, but remain completely untouched by grace. This watercolor captures the reality of that flawless defense mechanism. The individual exists in a rigid bubble, enjoying an impenetrable defense, but suffering from extreme, absolute loneliness. When the primary goal of our religion is to remain comfortable and safe, it isolates us from the very transformation we claim to be seeking. When the rich young ruler presents his flawless resume, Jesus responds in a very specific way. The text notes that Jesus looked at him and loved him. But Christ's definition of love does not validate our defensive walls. It targets them for destruction. Jesus issues a radical demand: sell everything you own. He is effectively asking this young man, how thick is your plastic bag? Jesus is demanding that he rip open his protective barrier. The young man is suddenly forced to choose between the comfortable illusion of his self-made security on the right and the painful path of real transformation on the left. This three-stage diagram illustrates how spiritual transformation works. The rigid, defensive posture of the ego, represented by ice cubes, has to completely melt away. Only after those hard boundaries collapse can the individual flow outward to actually nourish the soil and provide life to others. The biblical encounter ends in tragedy. The young man walks away in deep sorrow because his wealth was a protective shell too thick to break. True discipleship requires absolute vulnerability. As these open palms show, you cannot hold tightly to your own self-protective sovereignty while trying to accept the invitation of Jesus. If we do agree to shed that plastic bag, we have to ask where exactly Jesus is placing us. He doesn't drop us into a gentle, warming bath. Discipleship looks more like this painting of old fire soup. It is a dark, aggressively rolling boil, and it is inherently communal. You are thrown into a clay pot alongside a chaotic mix of other raw, entirely different ingredients. The boiling water forces everyone to constantly bump into one another. As the diagram points out, these continuous collisions are exactly what grind away our hard, jagged edges. That internal friction breaks down our individual pride. By colliding, we mutually support each other, absorbing each other's flavors and bearing each other's burdens. This intense, messy friction within the community is the engine that drives the outward mission of the church. This animated chart maps out how that works. A transformed, localized community at the center naturally pulses outward. It expands for reaching those exactly like them, moving through these distinct cultural layers, all the way to the outermost edges of the world. To follow Christ, a seed must fall to the ground, die, and shed its hard, safe outer shell. Jesus doesn't call us to be perfectly preserved in isolation. He calls us to be broken open so we can be poured out for the life of the world.